Thanks again for joining us for the Microsoft Innovative Educator Connection call. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce your host, Sonia Delafosse. Sonia, you now have the floor.
Thanks, Heather. Hi, everyone. I hope you are doing well today, and for some of you, it's already tomorrow. I can't believe the people here where it's midnight or later, and for some of you, it's early in the morning. I'm excited to have you all on the call today. For those of you that haven't met me, I am the new Senior Manager on the Worldwide Education team overseeing the expert audience. So you guys are my people, and I am super excited to be here. I love all the names that I recognize from not just this past year, but from previous years as well, from when I was an expert educator and an MIE trainer and stuff like that. So anyway, with that, we have a great lineup for you today. Praveen's going to share our new online educator community. Shiroma and Ruby are going to share what they've been doing in the classroom, and I know it's going to be an amazing hour or so of your time. Welcome, and on to Praveen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Praveen Kata. I'm the business owner for the Microsoft Educator Network, and I'm also working on our new online educator community. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. I know many of you have used the existing educator network, but we're redefining our approach, to create an experience that's better tailored to you guys. And so for the new online educator community, it'll be focused on gamification, a connected community experience, discoverability, online training, creation of content, and a media-rich user experience. And so why don't I go ahead and share my desktop so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So just bear with me while this loads. But the first thing that you'll notice is that, so this is the beta for our new online educator community, and most of you should have received an email highlighting what this is and also how to access the beta site. And so what I'll do is when I'm done in the pane window, I'll go ahead and put information on how to access this in case you guys did not receive that email. But I'm going to go through this a little bit and do like a quick demo just to kind of give you guys context around what's there. And so the first thing that you'll notice is that we have this featured content area right here. And so, we want to utilize this space to highlight content that either Microsoft or the community sees fit, that there's content that should get prominent focus. The other thing I wanted to point out too is, I don't know if you'll notice, but if you ever, if you've gone to Microsoft.com/education, which I actually have up here, you'll notice some similarities, particularly around kind of the header and then the footer as well. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make kind of the one-stop shop for you guys. And so we want to make it easy to find all the information that's there. You'll notice that if you click on educators, you'll find all the pertinent information, around what Microsoft is doing within education. And then the other thing too is that, or what I'll highlight is within the beta, these other elements are not active right now, but when we launch the site, they will be. And so you'll see it's the Microsoft.com experience. And so the first thing that I'll highlight really quick is kind of profile. And so, we've streamlined the registration process, to make sure that there's less required fields, but also provide more the ability to customize your information. And so on here, you can see kind of some of the different areas that you can, input information. I haven't inputted everything I need to, but, you can start to input stuff in here, including like some of your social information and kind of about me. But the other thing too is we're utilizing kind of the Xbox gamer tag system. And so here I can go in and I can put my gamer tag in there. And so I can go ahead and save. And then what that'll do is it'll actually save my gamer tag as my profile picture. And so it's a way to incorporate, kind of some of these other elements. The next thing I'll showcase is kind of the training that we have right here. So let's go into the training section. And so a lot of this is on-demand training. And the one thing that I'll highlight is, a lot of this, you'll see these check marks, and these check marks indicate that I've completed that content. When we launch the site, what it'll do is it'll show content that you haven't completed. So like this would potentially be hidden from my view, but I could bring it up later. What I can do is I can use some of these tags up here to kind of find content that's relevant to me or find content that I'm specifically trying to look for. And so in this, it's training. I want to actually do training on Office Mix. So why don't I go ahead and click Office Mix. There's a course that's been uploaded here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so you can see this is an example of what a course within this community can look like. And so, you know, I have a video that kind of talks about it. I have a quote. You know, some pertinent information on Office Mix, but then what's really nice is that I have mixes directly embedded into the site, and so I have all the functionality, you know, from Office Mix within here. I can fast forward, right? I can start to see like what's the other content, and so this is directly within the site, and you're probably not hearing any audio because I don't have it turned on, but you know, here you can see that we have some other Office Mixes in here, and so it's interesting that I have a course on Office Mix, but I've embedded mixes in here, but we also have the ability to embed Sway, to embed click-through guides, and a couple different things. And you'll also see some knowledge checks and quizzes here, and so this is an example of what a training course could look like. We're going to be building out more, but you kind of get the idea for some of the content that's there, and you know, if I want to start a quiz, and you know, if I want to go ahead and you know, complete this, I can do that. And so that's an idea, you know, or that's what training looks like. The other thing I want to highlight too is, can't really show it to you here where you'll see it, but it's the site is responsive web design, and so as you know, as I shrink the screen, you can see the content is starting to change. And so what I'll tell you as well is that this is mobile friendly. So when you go, if you're using your mobile phone and accessing the site, you'll be able to, it automatically adjusts, you know, based on the device, based on the screen size that you have. And so that's an example of training that's out there. If I go to lesson plans, you can start to see, you know, the idea is that we want to have, you know, the collection of great lesson plans that you guys create and, you know, have it out here in the system. And so being able, have it out there for people to go and find the information that they need. And again, you know, kind of utilizing tags to find some of this information. I see this is one that my colleague Sonia had created, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up and just kind of show you, you know, how it could potentially look. And so let's let this load. And so as you can see, and I'm going to go a little slower just so the visual pain can catch up, but you can see, you know, I've embedded videos, or Sonia's embedded videos, she's embedded images as well within here. You know, the resources that are attached to this particular element or particular learning activity, and so kind of a host of, you know, other things as well. But let's say I want to actually go in and create a lesson plan, and so what I can do is I can go in here and I can hit the add button, and what it'll do is it'll bring up kind of this simple content creation tool here. And so I can go in, I can start to fill this information out, you know, I can add supporting resources, and then there's an ability to enhance the content, and I'll show that in a little bit. Or actually, when I go ahead and show it now. So if I go into, so this is one that I was starting to create, but let me go into my content and actually show you one that I've already started to create. And so this is one that I've called How to Have Fun with OneNote, right? And so I can go in here, and you know, this is the simple content creation tool that we had before. You know, I've tagged it appropriately with, you know, kind of the information that I need. You know, I've uploaded some images here, but now I want to actually enhance the content. And so I mentioned that before. When you save it, when you save the content, you have the ability, if you save it as draft, you have the ability to go and enhance the content. And so when I go to enhance the content, this is actually a full content creation tool that allows me to customize this particular lesson plan as much as I want. And so in here, you might be able to notice that everything is broken out by modules. And up to the top right here, I can add different modules here. And so for me, let's say I want to add a video, right? And so I go ahead and add a video module, and it gives me these templates that I can choose from. So I want to add this video-centered module, right? And then I want to go ahead and edit this. And you can see I had put this information before. This is a YouTube video on OneNote, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit this pencil button in this module. And what it does is it brings up kind of the information that I would need to put in here. So I'm going to enter the YouTube information. I can change the background color. I can put just different information. And let me go ahead and save the changes. And then as you can see, it's, if I start to play, oops, error occurred. So let me go. Can you guys still see my screen?
I can see your screen, but it's just showing the YouTube black video screen.
Okay. I may have lost the connection. So let me go ahead and present again. I apologize for that. Oh. So it seems I'm having some technical issues. But the last thing that I was going to cover was kind of the discussion section. And the discussion section is an area for people to go in and just start to really kind of just communicate with your peers around the world. And so when you go to the Educator tab, under the Educator tab, there's a section called Join the Discussion. And so that's where you can access some of these discussions that are there. And let me see. I'm having issues presenting my desktop. And so, but yeah, so what I'll do is I'll leave it at that. And the one thing that I'll say is, I'll provide information on how to access it. I think you guys should, go in. We want you to go and try the site out. And again, it is a beta, so you may run into some issues here and there, and just be patient with that. But we want you to go in there, create lesson plans, kind of join some different discussions, start to comment, start to test out the system, take some courses, and we want to hear what you think. And so we'll be sending out a survey to kind of gather some initial impressions with the site. But definitely eager to hear what you guys have to say. And so at that, I will give it back to you, Heather.
All right, thank you. And our next presenter is Shiroma. And Shiroma, I've just loaded your slide decks, so if you want to click Take Over as Presenter, and then you can advance your own slides. And also make sure to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. I'm Shiroma Weerathunge from Sri Lanka. First of all, I would like to thank Microsoft giving me this great opportunity. So, today I'm going to present you about my learning activity I have done with my students. Learning the lesson, Nature of the Earth and Space of grade 9 using modern technological tools and giving opportunity for students to explore the social opinion about unidentified celestial bodies were the main aims of this lesson. In accomplishing these goals, it was expected to improve students' knowledge on astronomy and to develop their 21st century learning skills. In addition to that, developing their professional skills on photography and videography, enabling students engage in group work, developing the ability of decision making, speaking in English, and improving social skills were also goals of this lesson. Students were allowed to engage in learning teaching process by extending activities beyond the classroom through self-regulation, independent learning, and group activities were project-based learning and child-centered learning. Now, I would like to give a brief introduction for the background of the project. People had a deep curiosity about the unidentified celestial bodies that fall to Sri Lanka during the recent past. People started to study about the differences of them. It was a good topic for media too. Astronomy spreads widely not only on the primary activities such as observing the sky and taking photographs, but also it spreads widely on searching for science, the origin of the universe, building up theories of origin of life, exploring about the life outside the earth, studying about the threatening effects from space on the earth. Therefore, curiosity that people have about these areas is very important for the survival of human beings. Students started to engage in a project on this under the lesson titled Nature of the Earth and Space. Under this project, the students questioned the public about this matter and they took people's idea about the unidentified celestial bodies that fall to the earth. In this lesson, it was expected to improve 21st century learning activity skills. The lesson was organized in order to achieve the skills of use of ICT for learning, collaboration, skilled communication, and self-regulation. Especially, students developed the skill of use of ICT in learning as they used modern equipment from the beginning to the end of the lesson. Students developed their skills in decision making, collaboration in group activities using modern ICT tools, conducting a research and a survey in groups, skilled communication and social skills. In this lesson, students were expected to create computer games and presentations, take photographs and make videos, edit photos and videos, prepare reports, make brochures and create blogs using modern ICT tools. For these purposes, they used ICT tools such as AutoCollage, Kodu, Community Clips, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft OneNote, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft OneDrive, Songsmith, Windows Movie Maker, Microsoft Publisher and PhotoStore 3 and so on. The creations and activities they created with these tools were uploaded for their blogs and project reports were submitted by the students using OneNote and sharing through the use of OneDrive. At the end of the research, they submitted a report analyzing data they had collected. First, students had to participate in annual camp of observing the night sky organized by the Association of Astronomy of the school. Then they carried out a research with the community around the school to get the social opinion about unidentified celestial bodies. The students were expected to engage in photography related to the research they conduct. To do that task successfully, students had to get the membership of the Association of Photography and Videography of the school and participate in training programs conducted by the association. Next, the activities and the report completed by the students in groups were uploaded to the blogs created by each group. Further, awareness programs for teachers and students in grade 8 were conducted in order to distribute knowledge and experience students had gathered in this research and about astronomy. The brochures prepared on astronomy were distributed among students during these programs and participants were requested to access the blog created by the groups and comment on them. During those programs, it was expected to raise the fund of the Association of Astronomy, and that money was contributed to meet with the printing of the book Asvenna, published by a teacher and students of our school, and pay for the telescope borrowed by for the School Astronomy Association. I strongly believe that the project launched by me for 3 months has been highly successful in developing students' learning skills in 21st century using modern technology, and thereby building a group of students who are competent and prepared for the world of work. Let's help our kids, our future stars, to explore the universe. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Shiroma, for your presentation.
You're
Next,
welcome, madam.
all right, next up we have Ruby. And Ruby, if you want to go ahead and take over as presenter and share your desktop, and also make sure to unmute your microphone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, is this working? Present desktop. Yep. Okay.
All right, it looks like your screen is loading for us. I'll let you know
Yep.
when we see it. Okay, I'm seeing your sway now.
Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Ruby, and I'm from Howard College in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm a third-year teacher, so I haven't been teaching as long as many of you guys have. But today I'd like to show you what I've been doing in the classroom. So I've got a sway presentation here. I'll get them to upload the link later so you can access it if you want. So the title of my presentation is OneNote Learning Design for 21st Century Educators. Just to start off with, a phrase which I've been hearing a lot recently is this one. So, innovation alone is worth nothing. So what does this mean? All of us are here today because of our innovative ideas and our success in education, but there are countless hundreds, thousands of so-called innovators out there. So why are we the only recognized ones? So I had a discussion with quite a few people, and we came down to a simple answer. So without a purpose, an innovative idea has no meaning. By comparison, an innovative idea with a meaningful purpose is similar to that of a 21st century learner. We want our learners to apply themselves in real-world situations, to collaborate, solve, construct, communicate, and develop competencies. Our learning tasks thus must reflect a few, if not all, of these traits. So the projects that I've seen throughout our presentation so far all share a common purpose. We want to impact the lives of our students, and in turn they will impact the lives of those in their community, whether it be in the classroom, at home, or even on a global scale. So when I started coming up with a presentation, I was like, well, where do I begin? So I'll start with how I came up with the idea. So it was all to do with self-awareness. I was asking myself the questions that mattered. Having the technology, just as we all know, isn't enough. It's a tool, but it's how you use it that matters. So through the UNESCO framework, which emphasizes it's not enough for teachers to have ICT skills, we need to help students to become collaborative, problem-solve, creative learners through ICT so that they'll be effective citizens of the workforce. And this flows on nicely to the Microsoft 21st Century Learning Design. So my challenge was that I had to create a series of learning tasks that incorporates some of the strands of the 21st Century Learning Design. And the subject which we took was science, and we wanted to do something with the food for life topic. So food for life is mainly about nutrition and energy content and the digestive system, so the body, the circulatory system. So how we went about doing that was through OneNote. OneNote is our tool of choice, not only because of its capability to store a lot of information, but the flexibility of it. So I'd just like to go through how I've set up my OneNote. I know a lot of teachers have been using OneNote as lesson planning, but I'd just like to share mine. Over here we've got a title page, and this tells the kids what they need to do by the end of this topic. And I've structured it physically using the tabs. So there's physical scaffolding, and I have used solo taxonomy to show the kids what level they must achieve at. And the best part of OneNote so far that I found is the use of tags. So there's the to-do tags, but also at the same time I can add my own tags if I wanted to make sure that students were achieving at certain levels. So for example, in solo taxonomy, it would be one idea, which is building knowledge, many ideas, which is making near connections, and extended abstract, which is making far connections. So what I've done is I've created a tagging system where I have labeled them at each of the solo taxonomy levels. So for example, I wanted to see if a student was working at many ideas, I would click the tag in their workbook, and then I could see if they've completed the task. This also works really well for literacy and numeracy. So in science, you have to make sure that the students can calculate using certain equations, and that is one of the learning goals for our science department area. So over here, you can just quickly access these tags. So how I've scaffolded my OneNote reflects the 21st century learning design. So allowing the students to become autonomous learners, so they can work through each of these activities at their own pace, and the teacher, through the use of the now Classroom OneNote Creator app, can access everyone in the class's notebooks, and they can see clearly where they've got problems which the students might need more support on, or where students need to be extended on. So that's my favorite part of OneNote. So back to the presentation. So how does OneNote provide the 21st century learning design format? So we've got flexibility, which is what everyone's been using. It's the OneNote Classroom Creator app. The main reason why I've chosen OneNote is it overcomes the static nature of textbooks and workbooks. So for example, in science, things are always changing. Like how Pluto was once a planet, then it was demoted, and now it's a Plutoid, if I am correct. And so with the OneNote, you can update accordingly to what's happening in the media. So things might go to fashion, something might come into fashion, and to keep both students and myself as a teacher engaged, I can update the OneNote as it fits, because we know that as you teach a subject for many, many years, it seems to be quite repetitive, and textbooks and workbooks don't support that. So OneNote has got this strength to it. The structure, so as I've shown, the physical scaffolding of the tabs and the tagging system. The students determine their pace of work, and the teachers can also slow down or speed up lessons accordingly. Ownership, so lots of teachers come in and they're given, for example, a PowerPoint to present, and that is not what we want in the 21st century. We want teachers to take ownership of their own activities, to put their own life experiences into their tasks, so they make the tool theirs, and that allows us as teachers to journey with the students in the learning process. Responsiveness, social, cultural, special needs, feedback, feed forward, and the last part, building capacity for success. So we're not just learning how to use the tool, we can do many things with OneNote, some which we haven't even discovered yet. And so knowing how to develop the competencies, not just transferring knowledge, and harnessing the power of ICT. So I just want to show you a bit of what I've done with my class. So the task that they were given, after they've learned about the food groups, they've learned about energy, they've learned about how to measure the amount of energy and calculate. They've learned how to read labels. One of the activities which we did was there's an app on the phone which scans a barcode, and that barcode comes up using a system which tells you what the energy content, the fat content, and the sugar content is in the foods, and then it gives you a healthy alternative. So the kids come in and they scan these barcodes which I collected, and then they record it in their OneNote, and when they go home they'd have to do it for their own foods in their cupboard. And so there's lots of communication going on between home and at school and the wider community. So after they've done all this learning about supermarkets, about the budget of their household, they get together in their group and they design a food parcel for the Salvation Army. So in their groups of 3 to 4, create a food parcel that can be donated to the local Salvation Army in 2 weeks' time. They get together and they organize roles. For example, the resource manager is in charge of food collection, writing the report, nutritional manager, marketing manager, and project manager. So it's giving the students this self-regulation. They need to rely on each other, so their own work, for them to have success in the task. So here's just some pictures of them working in class. So that was the food barcode app, and then they're all on Surface 2s, working together. So it's a real world problem, solving a task, autonomous, self-regulated learning, and in the end we've got our products, which we created. I think it was 6 food parcels in my class, 6 in another class, and there was at least over 200 pieces of food from my class which was donated to the local Salvation Army. And this just shows how we could harness ICT for learning, so not just using PowerPoint presentations, but expanding our horizons and becoming innovative by putting a meaningful purpose to our tasks. And here are just a few more images. For example, this was a experiment, the bouncing ball, to test for the elasticity and energy. So they use their Surface to record so they can get accurate readings. And, oh, sorry. And here's some more pictures. So you can see how easy it is to use tools, especially OneNote in class, and the scaffolding that it brings. So future directions that we could probably take is refining the OneNote medium of delivering the content knowledge. For example, we could include more things like the use of tags in our OneNote workbooks, and explicitly embedding a learning taxonomy into each learning task. This helps visualize the learning flow through the OneNote design, and it allows for instantaneous student-teacher response. So that's all I wanted to share today, and I hope that you enjoyed the OneNote. So some people often come to me and say, well, why don't you create a OneNote and start selling them? And I'm like, well, this isn't the point. The point is to create a meaningful purpose so that the learners get something beneficial, not just the educational knowledge which they need, but they also get a lifelong skill which they can bring to their families, to the community, and perhaps to the working force when they end up there. So you can see up the top all of the tabs for the topics of the year, and each of them look like this. So thank you for listening, and that's all.
Great, thank you so much,
Shiroma.
No, that's so great. And I'm noticing in the chat pane that some people we'd love to see your sway. So if you could put it in the chat pane, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so thank you for being part of my learning journey, and I hope that I'll be able to share more in the future. So I'll put a link up to my OneNote. So I've got the Food for Life OneNote and the structure which you could use. So I'm not going to go into the details about how to create OneNote because many of us are experts on that. So I'll just put the link up into the chat.
Awesome. And you have a lot of really awesome positive comments in the chat pane if you want to look at those later.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for
Yes.
either Ruby or Shiroma while we're here? You can just, type them in quickly. Or we can also open up the sound, Heather.
Yes, I did just unmute everyone, so that gives you the option to unmute. If you do have a question, you can just click on the microphone icon to unmute and ask your question. Any questions for either Ruby or Shiroma?
Okay,
Ruby.
oh, great.
Hi.
Hi, Ruby. This is Josh in the U.S. and the state of Virginia. Looking at your OneNote notebook, I mean, it's way complex. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about kind of how you and what your students experience as they dive in and start using these tools? How do you kind of scaffold up that experience without kind of crushing them with its complexity?
Yeah, so it's students are quite adaptive, so it takes a bit of training for the first week or two, and then they get used to it. So when they come to class, it's surfaces out. We're on label analysis tab 4.2, and so they have this coding system ingrained into them after a week or two. And what we start off with is we look at the title page and the things that we need to achieve for the day. So I tell them by the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe a balanced diet. You should be able to use your barcode scanner. So the skills which they need to do are explicitly stated to them. So they know exactly what they need to walk out of my class with by the end of the day. And through the tagging system, they can check themselves off if they've reached that. And I can see if they haven't. So I'd be able to give them feedback and support them through the OneNote Classroom Creator app if needed. So in a normal day, so they'd come in, they'd get out their devices. We're on tab 4.2, Analyze. Okay, today we're going to read food labels. The activity is a literacy activity, so it's highlighted in blue. And the tagging system is a really good way to show the kids clearly what they're doing. And since you can create the OneNote notebook yourself, you can put a bit of yourself into it. So the instructions can be really, really clear when you write them as compared to textbooks. So the kids know that this is exactly what they have to do. Often I just walk around the room and I help them on certain tasks, but basically they run the lesson because they've got all of it there for them. I don't know if that answers your question. So you can decide. You can decide if you want to do one task or two tasks in a day. So the speed of the lesson is not necessarily you have to finish 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 in one day. You could just do activity 4 and 4.2, and so they know that that's the minimum they need to achieve. And for the ones which can be extended, they can go on to the next task. So you're not pulling them back in any sense.
It's very, very neat, very inspiring. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Awesome. And if there are no more questions, thank you so much, Ruby and Shiroma and Praveen, for your wonderful presentations today. I think everyone got a lot out of them. We're seeing some great discussion. Feel free to continue the discussion in the Facebook group if you have any more questions. And thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
All right, thank you to all of our presenters today, and this does conclude today's MIE